All right, so before we go into the techniques of lighting, we need to understand the different types of fixtures that we have in our tool belt and what they do. So some of the fixtures that we have, or that we all understand under lighting in your tool belt, would be uplights, and then you have path lights, you have wash lights, and then you have downlights. And then last but not least, you also have specialty lights, such as barbecue lights or in-grade lights.
Underwater lights, that kind of thing.
Absolutely, absolutely. So understanding what you have in your tool belt, and the next thing is understanding what they do. So with path lights, sometimes you need to throw out some light. So you light up a pathway, right? So it's not too dark, so that you can you can go to wherever you need to go.
Right. The idea is to go nice and safely and easily and confidently from point A to point B. And as the saying goes, you'll follow the yellow brick road and it'll be lit well with pathway lights.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then next you have uplights, right? So maybe you have a specimen tree that you want to highlight. Uplights, there's different techniques. Maybe you might be using 2, you're using 1, you're cross lighting. Different techniques that we'll go into a little bit later.
Yep.
And then you also have wash lights, where let's say if you have a wider wall that you need to get more light on rather than more of a beam, right?
Yep.
So you have wash lights, and then after that you have downlights, where maybe you might be not using a path light to light the pathway, but you might be using the downlight to light the pathway. But what's really neat about using downlights is you can play with shadows. So maybe lights can go through leaves and such.
Yep. And the other nice part about downlights is you're actually recreating nature, and nature with sun or moon will go and give you that same light pattern, stippling down through the trees and casting those beautiful shadows on that environment.
And then last but not least, with the specialty lights, it's more a function. So your barbecue lights, of course, we don't want to overcook our steak, right?
Yeah. Things like underwater lights.
So underwater lights, the underwater lights creates different textures when the light goes through the rippling water effects. Yep. So those are different types of lights and their functions for the tool belt. But what we'll also go over is what we have right here is a uplight, and we're going to kind of go over the history of what it was before till the technology that we have now.
Right.
So right here we started off with halogen lights, and this in particular is a MR16.
Correct.
Right? So one of these lights used to fit right there, and MR16s get really hot, and even back in the days when I was working at EPT Design, some of the lights that we had that shined on our image boards, those MR16s would burn out all the time, so we always have to replace them. So as time evolved, you have MR16s that are in the shape, or LEDs that are in the shape of MR16s that help save a lot of energy. And you'll notice right here that there's little fins that serve as heat sinks. So whenever you have LEDs, heat is always
bad.
It's always bad for technology. So that's why you always have heat sinks to disperse the heat. And this one's a drop-in LED.
Drop-in LED MR16.
MR16.
Yes.
Yep. And then as time evolved, we have LEDs with integrated boards. So they come in three LEDs, 6, 9,
and 1.
And 1, of course.
Yep. And the nice part about them is what you're doing now is you're using the board as a tool to go and put them into the fixture, but now the whole fixture is being the heat sink and pulling the heat away from the boards, and we're using the fixture to actually go and cool down the whole thing.
Yep. And then after that, we want to talk about optics, right? So we have this, I guess, what will we call this, Dave?
So this just it's a mounting plate, and so what it does is it allows the optics, the color temperature optics, to actually be able to fasten to the board itself. So it's just a little mounting kit, really, is what it is.
And you'll notice that we have different color filters here. Now, the orange would give more of a warm temperature.
In that 2800 degree Kelvin color temperature.
And you'll also notice that different filters also have little holes here, and that's for beam spreads. And then we'll go into the green filter.
So if you're looking for a slight green hue, maybe you're wanting to create a focal point in your plant material, or conversely, if you would like to go and create something in a blue tone. So the blue looks very much like a European blue headlight. The green brings out your green color tones. The amber brings you back to those warm color tones, as we will go and show you going further.
And then the green is actually really nice for if you have olive trees. It actually really brings out the color of the olive leaves. All right.
Okay.
So we got this filter right here.
Yeah. So you could simply not use the amber, green, or blue, and just have a cold white. The color temperature of these is in that 3900 degree color temperature. But what we do is we also go and use the frosted lens over the top, and that creates our beam angle. So if you're looking for something between a 35 and 40 degree beam angle, you would use this one. Or you could simply remove it and go and pop in a slightly different one, and that will give you either a narrower or a wider beam spread.
Yep.
Okay.
And then as technology further evolves with different colors, of course you can, you have the fixed filters that give you the different temperatures or colors, but with new technology nowadays, you can mimic that with the RGBW LEDs, which is the integrated LED board here. You might not be able to see it because they're really tiny, but the RGBW.
And what's nice is on this board there are actually 3 sets of RGBW, and you can go and get your vivid blues, reds, green, whatever color you're looking for. But if you'd like to soften them down into slightly more of a pastel color, you actually add the white to it, and so you can mix and match and create 30,000 different colors, whatever you're trying to match in your landscape.
Yep. So that's the basics of the lighting component of the fixture. So maybe we'll go into the anatomy of the fixture itself. So right here we have something that's very important for all fixtures is that they need to be waterproof. Any kind of water that gets into electronics, they don't like each other. So it's very important for a fixture to be waterproofed. And for this one in particular, it's double O-ringed. So even if water gets into one, it won't pass the other one. And if we also look at other fixtures as well, depending whether you have a uplight or a downlight, they're usually waterproofed a different way.
Yes. So if this was in a downlight situation, what we would do is included with the O-rings, if it was in a downward position, we would also go and pop the fixture on the way down. So any rainwater or anything coming into the fixture wasn't allowed to get in there.
And let's talk about, I guess, how do we adjust the light and where do we get it? All right. So there's different ways. First, most fixtures would have
A knuckle
right here, and you would use a screwdriver to loosen it up, and you can angle your fixtures. And after that, you also have the shroud. There's different types of shrouds. You have regular shrouds, you have long shrouds, and then you also have shrouds that are just
a straight
one.
Yep.
So you can direct your light in different ways, and light up whatever you need to light.
Right. And one of the mantras of having an angled shroud there, when it is shining it there, our big thing in the lighting industry is we always want to see the effect of the lights. We don't want to see the source of it. So this eyebrow is actually a deflector. So if it was here and the light was shining, you would actually see the source of the light. As we physically rotate that shroud around, you no longer see the source, but you still see the effect of it.